Blitz, brand new Apple TV Plus original film that just hit the streaming service around over a week ago. The film is written and directed by Steve McQueen, who's known for directing films like 12 Years a Slave in 2013 and 2018's Widows. This film stars Elliot Heffernan as George, a young boy who's in the middle of World War II in London. That's where the film takes place. And Elliot Heffernan plays the character of George, who is the only child of a single mom, Rita, who's played by Saoirse Ronan. During the events of World War II, when the Nazis and Germany in general were bombing capital cities in London, at this point, parents were allowed to evacuate their children only and get them out of these bombing areas until it is finally safe to return back to London. So Rita sends her boy off on this train to be evacuated out of nowhere. He feels like he's not safe where he is going and wants to return home rather than risk not seeing his mother again. So he jumps off the train and he's on a journey all the way back to London to see his mother. At the same time, Rita is struggling with the fact that she gave up her child, is using that to help the better London area. There's also a lot of other supporting performances. Harris Dickinson as Jack, Benjamin Clementine as Ife, Paul Weller as Gerald, Stephen Graham is also in the movie as Albert, and Aaron Kellerman as Doris. The film is 2 hours long and is PG-13. Welcome back to a brand new review here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinenberg. We're talking about Apple TV Plus's Blitz. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. If you like movie reviews or TV show reviews or box office breakdown shows or movie franchise rankings or even out of theater reaction, this is the channel for you. So please subscribe and ring that bell. We're growing quickly, so get on the Max Talks Movies bandwagon and community. We have a fun community. We have a fun comment section, so definitely join me in the comment section down below. First of all, have you seen Blitz? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Should this movie be at all a factor in awards season? If so, what awards do you want to see the movie nominated for? If you have not seen it, tell me why have you not checked it out yet? Do you even have Apple TV Plus? Let me know. Respond to all comments. And also, please hit that thumbs up button, the like video down below. So I was definitely excited for this movie with the combination of Steve McQueen and obviously in the picture Saoirse Ronan, but I had no idea what the plot of the movie was, never saw a trailer, didn't read a review. So I really had actually no expectation kind of walking into this one other than there was some bits of awards buzz for the film. So I checked it out, and this is going to be a weird one for me because I am going to give it a fresh grade, but it's one of the more frustrating above average movies that I've seen all year because in this film, there are so many moments of greatness, but at some points of it at times falls pretty flat. Now, I'll say this right off the bat. What makes this movie go to the next level for me is all due to the filmmaking that's on display by Steve McQueen. There is so much immaculate production design because we are in the middle of World War II and we're seeing a lot of houses that get bombed, a lot of destruction around the London area. And the whole movie feels, again, like you walked into World War II. And yes, there are obviously some green screen kind of elements of bombs flying in the air or bombs hitting the ground or explosions. Everything just felt really tangible and real. And I think that is where the emotional thing, core happens more so than the story is the surrounding, the sound effects, the sound design, the score, which is really good from Hans Zimmer, mixing in with just immaculate production design and visual effects. I mean, the movie just feels like you're walking into London in World War II, but also the filmmaking. The film feels extremely cinematic for a streaming movie. I actually was thinking about this. I wish I could have seen this in the big screen. I think I would have probably liked it even more so because the movie does have such a huge scale to it as we're kind of walking this movie through a child's perspective of him learning what the world is like through a child's eye and really us learning what the experience of a day-to-day life is for any person through the events of World War II, but especially someone who is a biracial son in London. And I think the movie from a story level, when the movie works the best, it gives a really good glimpse at really the world where this movie, either movies like this either like to go one pathway, which is a uniting movie where all of the characters, they kind of run, where the kid would just continue to run into really good people and to show that, oh yeah, society is really awesome, or it would run into people that are just awful and want to abuse him for 2 hours. and that would show how awful society is. The movie definitely does a good job of doing a good job at showing both sides of society. Where, yes, when this kid's on his journey trying to make his way back home, yes, he runs into people that want to help him and want are good people and are innocent people of war. But also, he runs into a lot of adults who might seem like they're good people and have good intentions, but actually are trying to use him. And I think the movie does a good job at showing you both ends. I wish there was a little bit more gray area. There was kind of either ultra bad people in this movie or ultra good people. I would have liked a little gray area. But I think the movie again does a good job putting you again kids of war, especially in World War II in London. It's not really about no one really talks about biracial people at all during these type of wars, especially even black people during World War II in England. It's a different type of story. And I think that being shed is very important. What also works in the film are the two lead performances. Now, I think Elliot Heffernan does a very solid job. This isn't one of the greatest child performances you'll see, but I think he does a very solid job. He's asked to have just kind of a resting face for like 80% of his performance. So it's not like I wish I could see a little bit more out of him, but they kind of just make him, we're kind of observing the world through his eyes. So there's not a lot of time for him to emote any other things. The real standout, not shockingly, is Saoirse Ronan, who is so fabulous in this movie. And I was shocked to know she sings a lot in this movie. Now, this movie is not a musical, but the movie has some music elements to it where, a family will sing together or they go to a club where people are singing. And she has to sing like 3 or 4 different times in the film. And she has an amazing voice. Like, it really took me off guard how great of a singer she was in the film. I was thinking to myself, man, if there's any person trying to do a musical out there, I would definitely go to Saoirse Ronan because her singing voice and singing talent was on full display in the movie. But again, she's one of the most charming, likable actresses working today. She is a person that's really hard to root against. She's so charming and likable and charismatic and innocent. And she's a reason why she's one of the best actresses of the last decade in Hollywood. She's so good in the movie. Other supporting performance that stand out to me was easily Benjamin Clementine as Ife, a military officer who is the only person who sees George's kind of situation and wants to help him out. That for me was easily the best subplot of the entire movie, and his performance I thought was very powerful. But overall, this movie has a very mixed bag story because we're basically following, it feels like 2 different movies because once Rita sends her son off to the train, we're basically going back and forth between 2 completely different storylines, which is Rita's storyline of the deflation of losing her son, basically not knowing if he'll ever come back, and her trying to make up for that by trying to help other people. Then you're cutting to and being a woman who's trying to make a statement and help people out in the war. We don't really get to see women make an impact in war in many other films. Then you also have George, who's on like 5 different subplot adventures on his way back. And the movie feels a bit jarring going back and forth between the 2. And the biggest reason why is there are some just jarring differences in tones of George's subplots on his adventure back to London. There's a point when he meets kids, and there's a little joyful kids moment. Then it gets pretty dark. Then you get to the worst subplot of the whole film is it feels like we are definitely in reality for 90% of the movie, especially on George's journey. But then he runs into people who are thieves and take George because he's a small kid. He's a kid, so he can get through small spaces. And that whole subplot felt like a cartoon element of the movie that just didn't feel plausible or realistic in a situation like this whatsoever. And it's like a 20-minute subplot in the movie, and that is involving Stephen Graham's character. I hated everything about that subplot. It completely pulled me out of the movie at a completely different tone than the entire rest of the movie. And that's the problem. A lot of the subplots and points feel very inconsistent tonally. And I feel like Steve McQueen wants to tackle so many themes and so many messages that when he does all of them, it feels like he's just kind of doing them lightly. Like there's a subplot involving, obviously, Rita's kid is biracial, so she obviously had a black husband. And the way they explain her relationship with George's father happens in one scene and then we don't see that person for the rest of the movie. I feel like there could have been a whole 30 to 40 minute section of the film about their relationship. The movie jumps back and forth a lot with time. So overall, I think the problem for the movie is structurally of how the movie wanted it to be structured. We're going through two different main plot lines. Both plot lines at times jump through multiple timelines, and tonally they're a bit all over the place. So I think that the messages and I think the story is worth telling. The filmmaking is amazing in this movie, but at times the movie is trying to tackle too many themes, which at points hold the whole movie to kind of a flat emotional level, as you're kind of limited on where these two characters can go from like a destination point of view. So overall, I'm going to give Blitz on Apple TV Plus a 3 out of 5 stars, a 60%. What are your thoughts on Blitz? Let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video, subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys soon.